So once we got our model in our scene, you just go down here and you click on Dynamesh, and we can turn this guy into a Dynamesh. And it allows this guy to become clay. I know, that was a really bad Sean Connery imitation. And to all my fans, I apologize. Now let's talk a little bit real quick about navigation though, because this is really huge in ZBrush. He's kind of a shocker if you're coming from Maya, Max, and other 3D programs. For one, it can get annoying as you're sculpting. You notice your camera gets all wonky. Keep your finger on the shift key, and this allows you to favor a camera angle as you move your brush around and so forth. You can always go back to your scene. If you want to frame the scene, just click on frame here. Move, this allows you to move. And you want to be able to scale to go in and out here. Now they used to have a zoom, which was really bad because if you zoomed in, because this is 2.5D, things will get pixelated. And actually, it's still up here. They just kind of moved it. Yeah, don't use zoom. Use scale. Scale's much better. This allows your scene to stay consistent. So if we get too close, you still see that it's not perfect. But this is the zoom. You zoom in. Ugh. Notice it looks like a PlayStation 2 video game. Not so great. So just keep that in mind. Zoom sucks. Scale is great. Let's stick to scale. Alright, so we've got this guy here ready to go. And we're not going to do any kind of symmetry, but if you did want to do some sort of symmetry, what you can do here, let me move my cord out of the way. He's getting a little weird on me. You can switch on your symmetry back and forth. You can also construct and divide your guy up a little bit more here under tools. Let me see here, anything else I want to cover. Dynamesh, and let me see your base, initial. I think we're good with that. I think we're cool with stroke. Nothing new to see there. Under transform though, you'll notice this is where our active symmetry can be turned on and off. I just wanted to show you real quick some of the cool stuff in tool. You can also get here through Dynamesh. Just to remind that, so transform here, we can actually activate our symmetry. I don't want to do that with this particular object because it's not going to be symmetrical. Let's talk about some of the tools here that we can do. Let's go to our brushes here. Look at this. This is why ZBrush is kind of the hot guy, the cool dude on the block, because you can actually push and pull your geometry with these tools. We have a move tool, which we'll use right here. You'll see that it's pretty cool. Now you'll notice though, it's not as organic feeling and looking, as in your results aren't as organic working with this tool compared to Sculptress. In other words, it isn't as clean, but you'll notice it does do a halfway decent job. Sometimes it can get a little bit messy the more you pull on it. In this case, it seems to be working pretty well. But sometimes you can push it beyond its limit and it will get really weird and pixelated. Now, if you want it to update on you, if you want it to actually update as you're tweaking out your model, make sure I don't grab that there. What you can do is as you pull, I can go in here, hit Control, and deselect far away, and you'll see it rebuild itself. So rebuild your geo, which isn't too bad. Let's frame that again. And again, we're going to scale, not zoom. Keep that in mind. Alright, so let's go and do a little bit of painting in here. So we can choose different brushes, and there's a lot to choose from by default. And you can play with this. There's even really organic looking ones. You can scrape it if you wanted to. Wolverine spin here for a rake. I have no idea why he would do a rake. That's weird. So we can go in here and really add some unique detail to this guy. So let's see what we can do. There's a noise one, which actually works pretty well. So we can go in here and add a little bit of noise on our guy. You can really get some cool effects. Now my brush is a little big, so the noise is going to look like we have tree cancer. Do Control Z. And let's lower our focal shift here a little bit. Draw size. You can get to these items too. If you keep your finger on shift, you can control these, excuse me, spacebar, sorry about that, different program. You can control these here and you'll see them shift through above us. See it filter through. You can choose your brushes too if you want, which is a really nice feature to be able to do so, which is kind of cool. So again, we can choose something different if we wanted to, but in this case, I'm going to stick with it. I might even choose the groom brush. This one's actually kind of nice. So let's choose this guy. And I think we should, oh, too strong, pull up. Let's go lower our intensity dramatically. There we go. Yeah, we can get some cool organic effects to this guy. And I gotta say, I really do love some features in ZBrush. I still think their interface needs a lot of work, but that's just me being spoiled with all the other 3D programs I work with. They're just not as taxing and difficult to play with, but you will, if you like clay, you will love this tool. Freaking brilliant. A lot of cool stuff. And it's just me screwing around here. Alright, need it to rebuild itself, control, go away, and you can get rebuild. And notice it's not perfect though. See that? Oof, that looks kind of nasty. So we'll try to maybe move that around and see if control will speed up to itself. Oh, brought a hole. So we found a little bit of a glitch. Looks like our poly subdivision, we probably could have divided them up a little bit more, but it should have worked a little bit better. So yeah, this is a little bit of a problem. Control Z a couple times. There we go. And yeah, he didn't like that so much. So we'll just keep on scraping. And this guy can keep going. Like you can just keep pulling. Let's switch our brush here to move again. We can just keep moving on stuff, and let me increase my draw size, focal length, and get this guy a little bit bigger. RGB intensity, we'll lower that. This is the Z intensity when I want to focus on. My bad for not grabbing the right one there. Pretty cool. You control if you want to rebuild. Now notice it did not like that brush. So there are some brushes that Dynamesh will give you some trouble with. Some of the stuff I'm not aware that it was even an issue with Dynamesh. But that's if you want it to rebuild. You don't necessarily have to have it rebuild itself. Let's go back down here. There we go. Pull up my draw size. We can keep that minor detail that I have, and I'm not going to push it with my rebuild because it will make some holes in it. So we can go ahead and choose maybe something a little bit more easier to work with. Elastic, going to give us all sorts of trouble. We'll try something else. Let's try to smooth this area out. Now, if you want to actually have that brush to work here, you can actually hit Shift key as you're working in the next brush. We're going to hit OK first. And I can hit the Shift key. I can go in here and I can activate that smooth tool. Now when I go hit Control on the other side, we should have less of that hole. Notice it's a little bit less, but not perfect. Hit the Shift key. Let me hit Control Z though before I did my rebuild. We can maybe smooth that out some more. So that's an active tool you can use, and you can get there also by hitting the space bar and getting to these tools and brushes that you may want. We can switch to clay if we want to. This guy works pretty cool. You got to be careful too though, because it does have its limitations when Dynamesh is in progress, and I really do like Dynamesh. Some people don't, but I do. I don't know who those people are, and they're probably communists. So let's go and hit the Shift key and see if we can. Oh no! Oh, my bad. There we go. Didn't see that guy. Yay! So he's active again. Shift key. Smooth. Control. Rebuild. So I got those holes. See? So you can see it does have its limitation. It gets a little weird. So this is one reason I do like Sculptress a little bit better, because it's a little more stable and doesn't act a little bit odd. So let me show you one more program. I know this is a long lecture, probably one of my longer ones. I'm going to close this out and not save it. If you do want to save it, you can save it here. Save as. Give it a name. base tree Z tool, and it will save it, and you can call it up, and you can load that tool again and start working with them. Eventually, if you like what you have, you can export him. When you export him as an OBJ, and that's what we'll be doing later on. Let me, thinking, close it out. Oh, don't save. So, let me see here. So one more I'll show you. Autodesk Mudbox. This one I like pretty good. It's a little bit more straightforward. Interface is better. I'm gonna find my, there you go. Oh, that's a creepy face. See that in the morning. Very well done. Very creepy. Now the one thing you have to keep in mind when you bring stuff into Mudbox, they're going to be 10 times like smaller than normal. Yes, I have a student version. Shut your face. Go ahead and close it out. Oh, probably should have left it open because we can load, but now we're going to do import. Desktop. Tree base OBJ. Open her up. We'll see that it's really tiny. So what you can do to maybe help yourself out, we can select the object and we'll just scale them up. Things just display better when it's bigger. Your painting is better, your sculpting is a bit better, believe it or not. There you go. Fabulous, darling. And this guy's navigation is just like Maya. So you can scroll in and out with the Alt key. If you need to focus on an object, you will hit the Home key. Excuse me, that would be UDK. My bad. You would hit the A key to zoom in on it. And let's get out of selection mode. We'll go to Sculpt. Now, let's deselect. So first, though, let's go to selection mode. Object deselect. There you go. You do want to get out of that. It'll stay on the whole time. Let's go to Sculpt here. My Alt. Now, if you don't want your grid to show, you can turn your grid off. You don't really need to show that. You can see we've got the wireframe on here, and that's the W key if you want to see it. If you don't, not a big deal. So on Sculpt, we're going to make a new layer. When you make a new layer, just click on that paper with the plus. When you do so, click on your model, and you can associate it. Oh, my bad. Edit, undo. Click on Sculpt. And we can, while we're in Sculpt mode, and you have a new layer made, click on your model, and you can associate that model's level of detail to that layer. So I'll do another one, layer. I'm going to hit Shift D to subdivide them some more. And then I'm going to click on the model, and you'll see that that sub D level is associated with that layer. And I'll make a new one. Now you can do the same thing in ZBrush, but I wanted to show you the power of Dynamesh for you to just quickly go in there and sculpt. It's pretty awesome. And also wanted to show you that with Sculptress. But now that we have this guy, we'll do Shift D one more time, and I'll click on the model, and that new level of detail is associated with that guy. So the key with using Mudbox, by default, it's a little bit trickier to sculpt with. It is true polys. It isn't 2.5D, so it can't be taxed on your memory. Down below, you see your memory fill up. If you want to save a look or a camera view, you can through your camera bookmarks. So I can go in here and bookmark this one and say, hey, this is the money right there. And we can say OK. And if I move my scene around, I can always click on that and it'll snap to. So it's a little bit different. You don't hit Control and it virtually snaps to it. Here you can actually create your own custom ones, which are kind of cool. Each has their advantages. All right, so let's do a little bit of sculpting. Actually, let's make one more layer so sculpting isn't weird. I'm going to do Shift D one more time to open up a new subdivision. And I'm going to click on the model, and you'll see it associated with this sculpt layer right there. So we're on sculpt. Now you got to be careful when using the default tools in Mudbox. They come in pretty powerful. So if you saw me go in here and sculpt real quick, and we'll just do a stamp, and we'll choose like maybe bark or something. Is that bark there? Okay. It's acid metal. That's not good for anyone. Let's go to bark. This is bark. Cliffs. Sounds good. It's petrified today. Hit the B key to increase your brush size. And you can now sculpt on the model. And let's make sure maybe we're just not powerful enough. Interesting. He does not want to sculpt. He says no sculpting for you. There we go. Hey, so it looks like they changed the default. They used to have it so freaking powerful. It's ridiculous. This is great. Good news for all those that want to do this a little more creatively from the get-go. We can set the mirror here tool, which is nice. You can choose your typographical axis right there, any way that you want. You can randomize it as you paint. Just keep in mind when you turn this on, it can be taxing. It can slow things down a bit. Get my brush a little bit bigger. And we can choose rubble. Interesting. Why not? More noise going on our model. And again, it's only limited on how much polys you have set on an object. You can actually get some really cool detail in here. And you can even project it on your object. And to do so, we can go in here and say, hey, I want to project, well, let's see here, where's it at? Imprint. So you want to use imprint. You can imprint on your model. Let's actually open one. Let's see if we can do a stencil imprint. Oh, this guy's going to want me to paint our texture. We'll turn this guy off. We won't use that. Off. You can hit the button for that. Let's go back to stamp. Let's do some imprinting here. It worked a little bit there, you can tell. And looks like my imprint. There we go. Oh, my model just might be too big. That's the problem. My bad. Try that again. You can see it slowly, tiny, showing up. Very little. What we can do to help out a little bit, let's go to our scale. Let's select them. First select them. Object, scale. Let's scale them down just a tad. And we're going to hit the A key. Let's go deselect them now. And then now we'll go in here. Oops. Go back to imprint. And then now drag it. And you'll see it show up. Lower my strength on it. Drag it. There you go. See that right there? So we're probably just a little bit too big. Looks like it. It was working the whole time. I just was... My machine was too big. Like my Wacom's not big enough. You can see it show up in just the tiny bits. And lower my strength. I'm going to bump that back up. My bad for lowering it. There you go. So you can load pretty much any texture you want. And the imprint allows you to put that on the object. So we could probably scale this guy down a little bit more. And then from here you can use some of the other tools they have. They could smooth it out. So we don't have tree cancer. Pretty cool. So I hope that shows you guys some cool stuff that you can do. You can really get some cool sculpting going on. You can even use the grab tool and make this look a little bit more cooler if you wanted. My grab tool's huge right now. You can flatten it out. Maybe it's been eroded. You want to flatten out an area. You can totally flatten it out. And that's about it, man. Scraping. So I'll show you more in class, and hopefully this helps you guys understand a little bit more of the tools. Those are 3 sculpting tools at your disposal. The benefit of Sculptress is it's completely free. These are 2, but they're only student versions, so you can't really do anything for production per se. That's it.